Hi everyone, I'm Shelly from There's No Place Like Home at redheadmom8.wordpress.com. Today I'm going to talk to you about what simple homeschooling is. Now, if you've never heard of simple homeschooling is actually very, very similar to relaxed homeschooling, which is what I talk about most often on my channel here. And in fact, it can even be used interchangeably with relaxed homeschooling in many, many homes. Another term actually for simple homeschooling is minimalist homeschooling. So if you have ever heard of that, what I am going to be talking about today is going to really describe what those three homeschooling methods look like, which again, those three terms can all be used for one style of homeschooling, although they will look different with every family. So really getting down into the nitty-gritty of what the difference is between traditional homeschooling and simple homeschooling is that traditional homeschooling will very often look like what people envision homeschooling to look like. It will involve very, very tightly packed schedules, whether it's long homeschooling days or lots of extracurricular activities. A lot of times it is also elaborate lesson plans. People in traditional homeschools will often use the teacher's manuals that come along with their curriculums, and they will follow them along and do lots and lots of lessons with their kids in addition to whatever work it is that they're doing for the day. And simple homeschooling is not really very much like that. Simple homeschooling really is, other than unschooling, it's like the antithesis to traditional homeschooling. Simple homeschooling really is about that. It is about simplicity, and it is about the effectiveness of simplicity. So rather than having tightly packed schedules, simple homeschoolers usually keep extracurricular activities down to a basic minimum, and the same way goes with their homeschool schedule. As a matter of fact, very often they will focus specifically on the 3 R's, reading, writing, and arithmetic, as the foundation of their children's learning, because that really is, those are the skills that kids do need in order to be able to get ahead in the world, in order to learn how to find their own information. And that is very often not what traditional homeschoolers do. You might hear of homeschooled children who do Latin, and some who do analytical geometry, and some who do calculus. And a lot of times it seems like there are a lot of homeschool students who have a lot of subjects that they cover in 1 year. And that is perfectly fine for those families that it works for. Simple homeschooling families tend to try to stay away from that, and they, again, really try to focus on giving their kids the basics and then giving them the tools that they need to know how to find the information that they are looking for. So when the kids come across something that they need to know how to do, or that they want to know how to do, they are fully equipped to do it. It is really about trusting children to be curious and to do what kids really do best. It's really about trying to pull away from that model that we all look at what learning has to look like. You know, we've got that in our heads from our own upbringing and from generations of upbringing now, where we think that learning can only look a certain way, and that certain way is exactly how they do it in school. But the fact is that that's not how it always was, and I have been reading a lot on the history of education, and I can attest to the fact that the things that are happening in schools are not to help kids learn. It is actually to impede learning. Now, not to say that homeschooling families who employ these methods are trying to impede their kids' learning. They just may never have actually looked into the history of it, or they have found that it actually really does help their kids. So definitely, I'm not saying anything at all against those families. Again, if it works for them, that is awesome. It's just that is not what simple homeschooling is about. So going back to the teacher's manuals that a lot of traditional homeschooling families use, a lot of times they will come with a lot of additional activities to be used with each day's lessons. And to the simple homeschooler, that will very often look like busy work. Simple homeschooling is really about short lessons. It's not about drill and kill, and it's not about drawing a 45-minute lesson out of something that can honestly be learned in 10 minutes. It is about giving kids the skills to learn something and then sitting with them to help them learn it. But then once they have it, it's not about just drilling it into the ground over and over and over again. And you know, I used to do that. I used to completely follow my teacher's manuals. And I have got to say that what I learned very, very quickly is that while those lessons with the teacher's manuals might look great in your lesson plan book, like you might just really be excited about diving into all of those great activities that you're going to do with your kids, but very often it looks completely different when you are actually trying to do those activities with your kids. And yeah, I will say that for us, it very often sounded like I was just trying more to just fill up their day. And if you think about it, a lot of teachers' manuals are about filling up a day. Even homeschooling curriculum very often is written more like it's for a classroom setting. And in a homeschool, you have no need to fill up a day because homeschooling really can take just as long as you need it to, and you don't need to worry about filling certain time slots. I just want to make sure that I got everything that I wanted to talk about today. So yeah, that's really the basics of what simple homeschooling is following the 3 R's, giving your kids the basics of the things that they really need to know in order to get out there and to make sense of the world and to go out there and attain their own education. Because while we very often think that kids need to be fed their education, they need to have it poured into them, that is not the case at all. Kids are naturally curious, and if you allow them the time, if you give them the freedom, and if you help them to get the resources that they need to pursue the things that interest them most, you would be amazed at the things that they will discover. So anyway, that's all that I have for you today. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed yet and would like to hear more of what I have to say, I would love if you would do that. If you have any questions or comments, you can leave one down below. And if you like my work, I encourage you to check out my Patreon page and see what I have for my patrons there. And I hope you have a great day.